Good morning, you beautiful souls. Welcome to your morning messages with me, Michelle. I am here to help you along your spiritual awakening and just help you become a kick-ass person that loves themselves. I wanted to start off these morning messages sharing a little bit about what I've been doing lately. I started creating journals. Journals have been such a huge part of my journey. If you were to peep in my house right now, I probably have close to 50 journals filled out, and it's so fun to go back and see how much I've grown. And at the time that I'm journaling, I am always going back and flipping back in the pages to check in with myself to see like, okay, what was I doing 3 months ago? I'm always, always, always self-reflecting and trying to track my journey to see, okay, when this happened this week, then something good came afterwards, or I had really bad anxiety for 3 days. And then I got the biggest check of my life right after that. So I like to track all the happenings in my life because then it makes life more fun because you can understand what's happening in the moment. And you don't have to fear your anxiety because you've tracked before that good things always follow your high anxiety days. So that's why I love journaling. So I created my own little line. I probably have maybe 12 designs, and I think 8 of them are up on Amazon. But the first one, getting my shit together. And then we have all the ways I kick ass in my life, a journal for the good. And then maybe it all starts here. And this was inspired by a little magnet that I have on my door. And it was from my friend Bridget and her wife Liz. And I'll never forget it. Like when they gave it to me, it was when I was leaving my job and taking a leap of faith, and they got me a cute little bracelet with it. And it was kind of like, maybe life starts here. I had gone through the loss of my daughter a couple years prior, and I just was making big changes in my life. And I'm staring at that magnet right now. And the magnet actually says, maybe this is how it starts. Like by me taking that leap of faith and trusting my heart and going into the unknown and not knowing what was next. That's what inspired this one. And I love like the sunflower look and sunsets and sunrises. So I thought this was like a really beautiful combination. But yeah, maybe you were to purchase this and you're like feeling all my energy in it. And as you open it, you're like, maybe this is the start of your journey as you're about to start journaling. So that's the vibe I kind of wanted to give. And if you can see the pages, they are lined. There's a little spot on the top for the date. This is a 6x9 size. The back of the white one has like a soft pink background or back cover. And then the Getting My Shit Together has that green. I love this green. It's like a green blue. It's really pretty. I figured so it doesn't get dirty, but if you guys could feel them, oh my gosh, they are just like, it's like butter. It's just so good. I can't explain it. And they're waterproof. So if you spill something on them, it like beads right off. It's really cool. But yeah, if you want to support me and if you want to support yourself on your journey, go purchase these on Amazon. I will leave the link in the description box. My best sellers are these two right now. I think people really love this one, obviously for like the colors and just the lingo, and but this is also really cool too. And there's a ton of other ones on there too. There's gratitude ones, and they're blank on the inside. I am somebody who, through my journey with journaling, I didn't want to follow rules. I was so sick of that school vibe where you have to do things a certain way. So when I started on this path, I just wanted to express myself in whatever way was coming up at the moment. So if I was with a partner and I was pulling out my journal and he had just left and I was feeling really anxious, or he was going out or doing something and I was, maybe a little jealous and a little insecure, I would write it. I would say, Michelle, why is this coming up for you right now? What is being triggered inside of you? What do you fear? And it was cool to see my pen would just write. It's like my soul would use my hand and talk to me. And I would just write it out and I would repeat it. And I would be like, okay. And after 20 minutes of writing, or maybe even sometimes it was 2 minutes of writing, I found my answer. And I was able to let go of that trigger, and I wouldn't hold that resentment towards my partner, and I wouldn't be texting him, and I would just let him go have fun. But when things trigger us, we have to check in with ourselves and say, okay, pause. why do I feel this way right now? Why do I want to cling onto my partner? Why do I want to cling onto my finances? What is the fear behind these thoughts? And our anxiety stems from us living in the past or living in the future. So if you're living in the past, you're fearing something happening again. And if you're living in the future, their fear is of the unknown, of what could happen. But when you sit down and you get your little coffee and you open up your journal and you just start. And what I love about this is, look, see how the page, when you bend the page back, it stays. I love that. And then when you shut it, it also stays. So these are like really good quality books. But anyway, you sit down, you write the date, and you say, whatever your name is. I talk to myself. I always call myself Shush or Michelle. My nickname is Shush. And I'll be like, Shush, you are okay. You can forgive yourself for having these triggers. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. But how do you want to be better? Why is this coming up for you? What happened in childhood that made you fear abandonment? Why do you fear being alone? You're okay alone. And you just write and just talk to yourself. It's normal. It's actually what we should always have been taught to do. And that's why I love teaching for so long, because I was able to teach kids and guide them through journaling. And in my mindfulness programs that I created, I have 2 mindfulness programs that are being sold all over the US and Canada right now, which is so stinking awesome. So I'm in like 339 schools or after school programs. Like, people are hitting play on my videos. And in every single video, I start off by, I'm like, hello, you beautiful souls. Welcome to 30 Days to a More Mindful Heart. And then I just say, all right, let's get out our journals. And I give them 5 or 6 questions every single day of this 30-day program. So I am training them into journaling the way that I would love all of you guys to start journaling, whatever helps you. But I ask them deep questions like, who was the last person, and this is deep, who was the last person that made you belly laugh? Who brightened your day today? Whose day did you brighten? And I force them to retrack and replay the good in their days. Because when we focus on the good, we create more. And that's one of my journal titles. It says, gratitude, keep track of all the good and you'll attract more. And so it's so important for us as humans to appreciate where we are, to, the stressors, the anxiety, it might be here because we're not appreciating and having gratitude for what we have right in this moment. I always say this nonstop in my head. This is how Michelle talks to Michelle. If you were to die tomorrow, what would you do today? What would you do in this moment? What would you say to this person that's in front of you? I religiously live my life like that. Some people think I'm a little too bold and I say things a little, maybe I should bite my lip sometimes, but I know I'd rather say it than not say it. So it's so important to use that expression, use your throat chakra, tell people how you feel when you feel it. And just value yourself enough to know that you're worthy of being heard. And you're worthy of having a journal and a beautiful conversation with yourself and learning to love yourself. And in these morning messages, I want to talk about 5 ways that you can value yourself, that you can love yourself more. But first, we're going to pull a card. And then we're going to end the reading or the morning messages with my 5 ways to value yourself. And one of the best ways to figure out, to practice those 5 ways that I'm going to give you is through journaling. Okay, that was way too many cards. All right, universe, please give us the messages. Yikes, I didn't open sacred space. Hello, humans, you did not remind me. Archangel Michael, Archangel Metatron, please open sacred space. Please cleanse my cards. Allow me to be a channel for all the messages that need to come through today. Silence. I love silence. Some people are very uncomfortable with silence. We need to get used to it. All right. Bless this space. Bless my journals. Putting this on the incense holder. Okay, for those of you that are new to my channel, we do this as almost every morning. I try to get it in every morning. We try to pull cards. I'll pull a page from a motivational book. We'll just see what the energy is for today. And the energy for today is the rabbit. Sensitive soul, strengthen your boundaries and cut cords. I just posted on my Instagram this morning a cleansing routine, how to cleanse your energy, how to cleanse your aura, your physical form. We are energy. When we are going places, when we're hugging people, when we're walking, if we're in 6 feet proximity with somebody, we might be picking up their energy. And I know there was one day this week where I hugged somebody and then I left. And then 5 minutes later, I was like crying. I was feeling such sadness. And I knew that there was nothing wrong in my life, but I was like, why am I feeling this intense emotion right now? And it passed within like 30 seconds. But I had picked up her sadness. I had picked up her fear, her grief. And I knew it was hers because I knew what she was going through. So sometimes when you are sensitive and you're an empath and you are on this spiritual journey, we open ourselves up to other people's energy, and we always have to cleanse and come back home into our energy. So if you are around people, you always want to be using Palo Santo, lavender spray, taking salt baths. Sometimes if I don't have anything, I'll just swipe. Like after, so an example, I got in my Jeep after I hugged that girl and I was crying. I got out my lavender spray from my glove box. I sprayed myself and then I quickly did a wipe out the window. And I was like, all right, I was like, cut cords. This is how I cut cords. I do a quick little like swipe on my chest and on my belly and on my back. You just want to cleanse yourself. You can even do your head. Oh, this is a good one. If you ever have headaches, okay? If you ever have headaches, you literally take your hands and swipe your head like this. You might think I'm crazy. Watch how it works. Just give a good, like you're wiping off a film all over your face, all over your hair. And you just swipe, and even do like your forehead. Like I have my hat on, but just swipe like this. It is an amazing instant headache relief. I promise you it will work. If your headache is from somebody else's energy, if your headache is from dehydration or maybe you didn't have your caffeine yet, you know the difference between your headaches. But when you leave somewhere and you didn't have a headache when you got there and then you leave and you have one, it's most likely because you've picked up somebody else's energy. And having this awareness to tune into our body and how it's talking to us is huge. So the energy for today is cut your cords, cleanse your body, set those boundaries for yourself. You know, you don't have to like not be near people. We can absolutely, part of our human experience is to touch, is to hug, is to share space with people. Community is wonderful, but we have to learn the tools that when we come back and we leave, you know, throat chakra. This is important. When we leave other people's spaces, we have to come back home to our energy. Sorry, man, that was an important message. I think there's a lot of people out there right now who are not realizing this about themselves, and they're going home feeling so depressed and sad. Like, think about me when I cried the other day. I could have thought that was my issue, but I'm so aware of my thoughts and I'm very mindful that I'm like, Michelle, you were not thinking about anything. You're fine. You just picked up somebody else's thought patterns, somebody else's energy. And doing that quick swipe, cleansing yourself, maybe getting out in nature and just going for a run, going for a walk, you actually come back home to your normal thoughts. So that is the energy for today. Let's do a charm. So if you see a little bunny outside, it's a little chilly though. I'm sure bunnies are not out and about, but a rabbit or a bunny, maybe you see a picture of one on Instagram, that is your reminder that you need to go cleanse your body like ASAP. We got the mermaid. We got this yesterday. Oh, this is a reminder to cleanse in water. So be the mermaid, go submerge yourself in a good bath, or maybe go sit by a river or a lake or the ocean. You need to be by water. It's really, really good for our bodies. Let's do one more. And it's funny because when I got the mermaid yesterday, I read it in a totally different way. Ooh, we have the cat. The cat is all about speaking your truth. Cats are very like, not secretive, but they just sit there perched up and they're just watching things happen. And then they kind of like swipe at you as you walk by. It's almost like, make sure your words are not biting. They're not like attacking. Make sure they're coming from a place of love and they're soft and they're warm, but speak your truth. Learn how to not be afraid of confrontation. Don't be afraid to kind of like swat at somebody figuratively and kind of tell them how you feel and tell them like, hey, this is a boundary. You cannot cross that boundary. Good little message there. Okay, let's move into our 5 ways to value ourselves. I actually taught this in my intuitive class last week, so I wanted to share it on here just to give everybody else the opportunity to learn this. So this is something that I learned through my spiritual awakening when I was learning to love myself and trying to understand like why I was doing what I was doing. Like I was just talking to a girl yesterday on Instagram and she was asking me like, she was in my class and she was like, hey, can you remind me what number 1 means again in your 5 values? And I was like, yeah, sure. And the number 1 is understand your childhood. So we were talking about how her and I both, I found out she's an avoidant. I used to be an avoidant too. I used to. An avoidant is somebody who avoids conflict. You don't like confrontation. You hear people fighting and you go the other way. You have to, somebody is saying something to you and it doesn't feel good, but you're afraid to speak up. You're afraid to speak your truth. So an avoidant avoids. And understanding our childhood, so these are the 5 ways you can value yourself more, meaning like fall more in love with yourself. The first one is understand your childhood. What causes you to run from conflict? Oh, it's because I grew up in a home where there was tons of fighting and it triggers me. Or I grew up in a home where I wanted to please everybody. And whatever it is for you, understanding where you come from. Okay, so the awareness of how I behave as an adult is directly driven from my subconscious. I always point to the back of my head because that's where it's held. It's back here. We can't see it. We don't know, I think it's like 85 or 90% of our decisions and our actions every single day are run from back here. We're not aware of it. So when we become aware of our childhood and how that has shaped this other personality inside of us, we then can take action to change that and to make better decisions. So you can change that subconscious pattern. So understanding that, okay, right now there's conflict, somebody just jumped in my phone and said something that was inappropriate. Okay. I have this happen to me all the time on Instagram, whether it's, I don't know, like younger graduates, not younger, but people that I taught, they're graduates who are jumping in my phone, maybe like asking me on a date or just something that's like very like inappropriate. And it might not be graduates. It could just be anybody on social media doing this to you. And they just like jump into your phone and they don't say, hey, how's your day going? I would love to ask you out on a date. Nothing like that. It's just like, you're hot, so you could either choose to just ignore that, or you could put that person in their place. And valuing yourself, I'm going to put that person in their place. And I'm going to say, hey, I hope you're having a great day. Thanks so much for the message. But I think it's highly inappropriate. And I would really prefer if you respect my boundaries and maybe ask me how my day's doing before you just jump into my phone and kind of, say whatever. I wouldn't say that to the "you're hot" comment, but any other comment, if somebody's just kind of like blazing in there, like saying inappropriate things, like, no, you can't just jump into my phone and say that. And now I've had the strength and the courage to do that because I don't fear how that person's going to feel about me. The old Michelle would never do that because I'm like, oh no, I don't want them to think I'm a bitch. But think about it. Like, I would never jump into a guy's DM being like, you're hot. It's just not something I would do. And it's not polite and it's not respectful. It's basically saying like, this person, all they have to offer is their looks. It's whatever. You guys know what it is. It's just that like sex drive out of control at the moment. And sometimes that happens around full moons. So pay attention if you get lots of people doing weird things a couple days before a full moon. The full moon stirs up our sexual energy and it makes us very, very interested in, what. So setting a boundary and telling that person, I'm sorry, but that was inappropriate and I would appreciate if you didn't do that. Saying those things and holding, like, knowing your worth and knowing like, okay, like I get to choose who jumps into my phone. And if I don't like what they say and they're going to continue, I'll block them, you know? But I didn't learn how to do that until I understood my childhood, until I understood number one on the 5 ways to value yourself. Why was I afraid to always speak up? Because I feared being abandoned. I feared people thinking a certain way about me. I feared judgment. I wanted to be accepted by everybody, because if I wasn't accepted by one person, then that means I'm a failure. So healing that part of me allowed me to make better decisions now, because I understand why I was doing the behaviors that I was doing before, not valuing myself. All right, number 2 is everyone's values are different. So once we understand our childhood, now we have to see, you know, what do other people value? And if you're in a partnership with somebody who really places a lot of value on the physical form and how you look, and you don't, you're not a match. You have to date somebody where you share the same values, and you cannot quickly jump into the sexual energy. They say you're supposed to spend like 100 hours face to face with somebody before you should open your body up to them. And this doesn't happen in our culture. You know, people just jump right in, and I struggle with it too, like, because we just are so yearning to be touched and to be loved, and it just feels good. So we want that instant gratification. But in reality, we're really supposed to spend like a long period of time getting to the root of the foundation of the relationship. Is like, do we share the same values? Do we, can we be friends? You know, do we care about each other's day? Is it not just surface? Like, there's this iceberg analogy. The tip of the iceberg is the surface level conversation. Like, how's your day going? You're really pretty. And you're just like on a date talking about very like non-deep things. And then it quickly goes physical. And then all of a sudden you lose that drive to want to have those deep conversations, because now your hormones are taking over every single date after that. It's like you can't pull back and not touch each other once that door has been opened. So they say that's why you should not open that door, and you can continue going beneath the surface to say, like, what do you value? What are some of your toughest struggles in your life? You know, where do you see yourself in 5 years? And just asking all of these questions, and not just trying to find similarities between the two of you, but getting to know this person on a deep level. And if you're somebody that likes to have those conversations and they're not willing to share, that's a red flag. But if you didn't ask those questions, you might have already stayed at the tip of the iceberg and already opened yourself up sexually, and maybe it was enjoyable. So now you think that you're a match when you're not. You're not a match. It's just your physical drive to want to be with this person. So understanding that everybody's values are different. Some people might value things that you don't. So even in friendships, you know, if you notice that a friend, every time you see them, or if you haven't seen them in a couple of weeks, they're always coming up to you and saying hi and complimenting on how skinny you are or you look great, you can tell that in their mind, they're always thinking about the shape of somebody's body. They're always putting the pressure on themselves to look a certain way, because that's what they're putting their emphasis on. So you can kind of learn what other people value by how they talk to you. So you can kind of like tap into their psyche and be like, wow, this girl always says that I look great, and that, wow, you lose weight, you're losing weight, Michelle, you're doing this. Every time I see her, she says it. And I'm just like, man, I feel so bad for her, because that's what she thinks about in her mind all the time, is how she looks. And she's wanting that kind of confirmation back, you know, from her. Whereas some people, like, come up and hug and they don't even talk about my body. So everybody has different things that they value, and it shows you a glimpse into their psyche about what is important to them. And you want to find a match, and you want to value yourself and make sure you're self-reflecting and saying, okay, how do I show up in conversations? Am I always commenting on somebody else's body? Wow, that means why understand my childhood? Why am I putting such an emphasis on my body and other people's bodies? I don't care about their body. I care about their brain. I care about their heart. I care about how they feel about life and how they feel about, you know, whatever. So you start to understand what you value once you start seeing what other people value. That was a really good one. When I learned this, I was like, whoa, mind blown. All right, number 3, not seeing your strengths or your gifts. So in order to value ourselves more and to love ourselves, we have to see what we're great at and just be like, heck yes, I'm really good at this. Everyone keeps telling me I'm great at this. So maybe I should start seeing it in myself and appreciating it and honoring it and journaling about it. What I would write down is, at the end of my day, I would say all the ways I, who did I light up today? I would say I made the person at Wawa smile. I had a great conversation with the girl at the park. At Starbucks, the guy was looking at me and was telling me that, my smile lit him up, or I got a comment on my YouTube channel that somebody said this about me, which I did today, which is really cool. So like valuing all the ways that people say that I show up in the world. If it's my smile that I hear over and over and over again, then wow, that's a gift of mine. Then that means I need to share my light more. I need to smile more. I need to appreciate my own smile. So even if it's as simple as, our looks, or it's as simple as heart chakra or throat chakra blocked, I just like couldn't catch air for a second. And I literally was just like, my nose was running like crazy for some reason. So I'm feeling a lot of energy moving. So gross. But anyway, seeing your gifts. And I know, this is so funny. Oh my gosh. I know why my nose is running right now. So one of my gifts is, I was just talking about this with a friend of mine, is my sniffer. I have a very good sniffer. I can smell things really well. And I actually got a human design chart reading done. And the girl, it's basically like an astrology birth chart reading, but like on crack. And it's an hour-long recorded reading. So I was listening to her talk and she's like, wow, your sense of smell is really something that drives you in life. She's like, that's part of your gifts, is you have a good like sniffer. So I think my nose just started running for that reason, because it's not cold in here. But number 3 is not seeing your gifts, not recognizing what it is that you're good at. My hat is driving me nuts now too. Spirit is messing with me. All right, moving on. Number 4. Let's see. Forgiving yourself. This is a huge one. So people say the path to enlightenment is forgiveness, is where can you learn to forgive yourself and other people in each moment. And when you do forgiveness, when you practice this, you're basically living a very, very peaceful life, because you are seeing every single person around you and you're having compassion for them because you're forgiving them for however they're behaving. So if they're being a jerk to you, or if they're being a jerk to somebody else, you don't have to intervene. You don't have to, be confrontational. You don't have to be afraid of the conflict. You can just allow it to be happening, unless somebody's getting hurt. Then you need to step in. But if it's not your place to jump in, you just sit back and you show compassion and be like, wow, that person's really hurting. Like, what are they going through? Like, what bad thing happened to them that is making them feel so called to hurt somebody else? And instead of being that person that's, not forgiving somebody, and they're like, what an asshole, why are they doing that? I can't believe they said that. And you're constantly judging somebody. So judgment zone is over here, forgiveness is over here. Do you want to live in that judgment zone where you're still thinking about somebody else's behavior like an hour afterwards, and you're driving home in your car and you're like holding the wheel so tight because you're thinking about that situation? No, you want to be over here where you're like, oh, I feel bad for them. They must be having a bad day. I'm just going to let that ride. Imagine that person having that energy driving home. It's like, oh, everything's great. I'm good. I can just relax. It's not something that I'm taking on. And that also goes with like cutting cords and play and cleansing. When your mind is not taking on other people's stuff, that's allowing you to cleanse as well. So offering forgiveness for yourself in past decisions, understanding that, oh, because of my childhood, I do this because I've been living for my subconscious. Now you can forgive yourself. Now you don't have to worry about it, because it's just, you didn't know any better. You were just living out a pattern that was taught to you and that was inherited. So forgiveness is huge. That is literally the answer to a peaceful life, is when you can forgive every single person in front of you for all of their actions. And most importantly, forgiving yourself. Do not keep judging yourself for the decisions you made in your past. If you stay living in that mindset, you're going to create more self-hate and more situations that don't make you feel good. You have to see your past as like a past life. Be like, oh, wow, in that past life, I did that. Even if it's like 5 years ago, that was the old you. You do not carry that into your now moment or into your tomorrow. So I feel really passionate about this right now. Like I want to grab somebody by their shoulders and be like, it's a new life. Today starts a new day. You are not attached to the old you. Like, let's cut the cords. Let's cleanse that version of you. Let's take that mask off. That's no longer who you are. Today, maybe it all starts here. Maybe it all starts here right now. You are fresh and you are new. A sweet ending to a new beginning. Let's shed that old layer and let's not be him or her anymore. You're allowed to start new and start fresh. All right, the last one is the boundaries, setting those boundaries, which is kind of like all of these put together. Is once we value ourselves, once we see that other people are saying certain things to us that we don't appreciate, we can set those boundaries and we can say no, because you are now not afraid of confrontation, because you understand your childhood. You understand that before you allowed yourself to run from confrontation, you allowed people to cross your boundaries because you were living from back here. You didn't know any better. I thought my ear was ringing, but there's actually like some sort of truck backing up outside. But I was going to say that's confirmation. So boundaries was our last thing. 5 ways to value ourselves more. Set boundaries for yourself. You know, really watch what's coming into your phone. Don't allow people just to text you whatever they want to text you. They need to be texting you, hey, I hope you're having a good day. If you have some time and space, I'd love to ask you a question. And if you're already not in dialogue like that with somebody, you start doing it first, and then people will adapt. People will learn from how you text them. I love texting people because you can get a great glimpse at where they're at on their journey by how they text. You can see their growth in how they text. You can just learn so much from somebody through the words that they choose to use, or the emojis, or the love, or the gratitude, them always saying thank you. You know, that's a huge indicator, especially if you're about to date somebody. Watch how they text you. Are they valuing your time? Are they waiting like 8 hours to text you back and not apologizing? That is something you do not tolerate. That is a boundary you set to value yourself. And you can forgive that person and say, peace out, thanks for the lesson. Now I know my worth, now I know my caliber, and I'm going to move on. So I hope you enjoyed these 5 ways to value yourself more. Understand your childhood, understand that other people have different values than you. And you need, when you're dating somebody or when you're married to somebody, you need to make sure you guys are valuing the same things. Because if you're not, it's not going to work out. You're not going to agree on things. You're not going to agree on how to raise children. You're not going to agree on, you know, what kind of house you want to go get, because you might value different things about the house. And it's not superficial things, but like deep things, like the memories you want to create there, where you want to live. It's huge. You got to like think about all of this before you choose a partner. I say this in all my videos, but I just learned it maybe like 6 months ago. But it's like, imagine a tree in your living room. There's this huge oak tree in your living room. You can't avoid it. It's just there. That's your partner. So if you're choosing a partner where you guys don't value the same things, that is going to be a struggle to live with that tree. It is going to be smacking you in the head with its branches. You can't go around it. It's just there. So if you're feeling called to kind of leave a partnership, please DM me or email me, DM me on Instagram. And book a session with me if you need guidance, because it can be really hard to step away from a partnership if you don't have support. And I would love to do that for you. And then the third one was not seeing and trusting your gifts, always valuing yourself and writing down all the good that you are, whose day you lit up, who lit you up that day. You know, if somebody's telling you you're really good at something, maybe that's something you should explore to make money doing. Because I always say, when you do what you love, the universe will provide. And then 4 was forgiving, and then 5 was boundaries. So, all right, lovies, I'm going to end this here. I feel like it was kind of long. Don't forget, we have the rabbit energy for today. Cleanse, 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 cut those cords, set those boundaries. The mermaid reminds us to be in water, and the cat reminds us to speak our truth. You can do hard things. You can do it. You can do it. You can do it. Choose you. Value yourself enough to live on this earth in the most loving, wonderful, joyful way that you can. And it starts with you choosing you. All right, like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications if you want more of these messages. Yeah, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace out.